Hey folks, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge. It's been 2 months, but I'm finally reviewing this knife. When I did the unboxing for this, I did not know what knife this was a copy of, but I felt that it was a copy, and thankfully there was at least 3 of you guys, at least 3 of you guys that told me that this was a WE knife, and a couple of you even said that it was the 604, and yes, this is a copy of the WE 604. And yeah, fairly decent copy of it. It's a bit smaller than the original, and certainly it's inferior in every other way. You know, the WE knife is worth its $200+ US, but this guy is, you know, 12 bucks, or what is it? Yeah, $12.32 US. And I think it's worth it. So why don't you stick around and let me tell you why. Keep watching. The original by WE Knives has about 10 of them with this Tanto blade on it. Well, not exactly this one, but like it. And they've got about 10 of them that have a slight drop point with a regular belly on the blade. We've got aluminum handle scales. The WE knife has titanium, of course. We've got a 4CR13 MOV stainless steel blade. S35VN, I think, is what WE uses for their 604. By the way, the 4CR13, I wasn't going to buy this until I did some research, and it's basically the same composition as 420HC. And we all know that 420HC is used by a number of knife companies to make some really decent knives. Buck uses it. I'm sure that the heat treat here isn't as good as the way Buck does theirs, but you know, it's going to be decent. This steel comes out between 55 and 57 Rockwell, which is okay for a $12 knife. No problem there. And we've got, you know, liners in here, steel liners. We've got a right side tip-up pocket clip that's fairly deep. No lanyard hole. We've got a single pillar here on the open pillar construction, and then the pivot. And the stop pin is sort of hidden up front here a little bit. So the blade has got, there's no way to take it out and show it to you. Indeed, well, I could take it apart, but I'm not going to. You can see in there the ball bearings on either side. They're inside some white or translucent nylon, and then there's some ball bearings in there. And, you know, then when the blade comes up, it sort of hides the stop pin right there. Liner lock locks up exactly where I want a brand new knife to lock up, so that's a good thing. And lockup is pretty good, up and down. That way, that's up and down. It's solid. Side to side, there's a little bit of play. You know, I can't get the side to side play out of it, no matter how much I tighten it here. Well, I can tighten it up so much that it can't open and close very well, and then there's no play. But when it's functional, there is some side to side blade play. There you go. I snugged it up as much as I can until it just barely won't flip open, you know, to give me the best side-to-side tension that I can get. The flipper tab's got some jimping on it, and, you know, light switch method works quite well, and the push-down method works okay. We've got free spinning pivot screws, which I don't like free spinning, but I just use a table vise to grab on right here, and then I can put one screwdriver in either side and safely tighten it or loosen it. I watched Zelric the other day. Oh, I got a little bit scared for him. He ended up putting tape around the blade because he was doing the 2 screwdriver thing like this and having it flop all over. That's scary. Any of you guys, if you can, get one of those little table vices, and it will save you a lot of, you know, cuts and, you know, danger. And, you know, even if it's not a cut, maybe it's a screwdriver that slips and stabs you with the screwdriver. You just, yeah, get a little vise that you can put on your tabletop. It's got a rubber foot, and you clamp onto your knife, and then you can use 2 screwdrivers very safely. What else do we have about this knife? I really like the sharpener's choil. That's very well done, so it's easy to sharpen the end of this knife. The shape of it is kind of cool. I like these scallops here with the marks on them for the handle scales. Looks really cool. It looks sort of like dragon scales. I think that's what I read somewhere, that that's supposed to be what it's like. We don't know what dragon scales look like because, you know, at least not the storybook dragons. They ain't real. Anyhow, we're getting off the subject. This is a little too smooth for me. This aluminum is a little too slippery for me. If it gets wet at all, it's way too easy for the hand to slide up. It's pretty good. The edges here are a little bit too sharp for my liking. A little bit of use for a while, and it gets a little hot in the hand with these corners being, you know, basically at 90 degrees. So I wish they would have just taken a little bit off that edge. If I do it now, then it's going to look like stainless steel right there, well, aluminum, instead of this brownish color that we have. You can get this knife in 3 different colors. They call it golden, green, or this one's called soil. I wish it would have been done before it was anodized. We've got some black coating that they put on the blade, and then on the flats, they sanded it off. So it's got a nice little effect there with the grind section here being black. And there's the SR Knives logo. A little bit too big for my liking, but not terrible. Let's give you the dimensions now. The cutting edge is 9 centimeters, 3.54 inches. Blade length is a little bit less because this tip here sticks out so far. 8.64 centimeters, 3.4 inches. The blade thickness is 3.04 millimeters, which is 0.1195 inches. The blade depth, just under 2 centimeters, just over 3/4 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind is way too thick, 0.83 of a millimeter. That's 0.325 inches. That's very thick. It shouldn't be that thick. The grind angle is right around 22 degrees. It should be less than that as well to be a better slicer and cutter. So it's not the greatest cutter right now, not the greatest slicer. It's okay. From the factory, it has a reasonable sharpness. I still have the factory edge on here, and it's okay. The tip, this Tanto edge here, is even on a greater angle. It's more like 25 degrees per side, and that's starting to get more into like a hatchet kind of thick or angles. Let's talk about the handle now. Handle length, 11.43 centimeters, 4.5 inches. The grip area between my thumbnails is 9.4 centimeters, which is 3.7 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.47 centimeters, 0.58 of an inch. And the handle depth is biggest right about here, 2 centimeters, 0.787 of an inch. Total length of this knife with the blade deployed is around 20 centimeters, 7.87 inches. It weighs 108 grams, 3.85 ounces. So it's got a great weight for its size. It's beautiful. The balance point is a little bit further back than I'd like it to be. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. So the balance point is right there. I'd just like it to be a tiny bit forward. Not a big deal at all. I already mentioned the price, $12.35 US from GearBest. If you want it shipped to Canada, it's $16.23. In euros, it's $10.57. In pounds sterling, it's $9.33. Now remember, GearBest has got a sale starting on the 18th of June. And this is just before the 18th of June that we're doing this. There's a 10% off coupon code that will start working between the 18th and the 30th of June because GearBest is doing a great big mid-year sale. I think they're calling it 618, 6.18, because it starts on the 18th day of the 6th month. So 6.18 is the name of their sale. And so if you see 6.18 advertising at GearBest, that's what it's about. Here, I'll show you a tiny little bit of video of the promo. It's like 5 seconds long. I've got links below that you can use. Please use those links to get to GearBest. That way I will get a tiny bit of a credit for any purchases that you make. Pros and cons. I really like the design that they chose to copy. We Knives did a great job with it. The weight to size ratio is good. The pocket clip is nice and deep. Oh, let me show it to you with a pair of pants. Pocket clip, very functional, and see it hides the knife in there very well. You just have a little bit of knife sticking out. And the clip, good and strong. You would think it would create a hot spot right there with the way it sticks out, but I didn't find that to be the case in my hands. The thumb rest jimping is quite good. You see that fine jimping right there? I'll give you a close-up of that so that you can see it in better detail. Since it's black here, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's enough jimping to help you out a little bit. For the price, it's a decent knife. The cons, well, too thick behind the grind. I wish the grind would have been a full flat grind maybe, but they wanted to copy what We Knives did. They should have come down at a little more of an angle so this edge would be thinner. No lanyard hole. That's a con for those of you that want a lanyard. I don't really care about a lanyard. I don't use them 99% of the time, so not a problem for me. The pocket clip is right side only. Would have been good if they would have made it right and left. And the free spinning pivot, that's a big deal for me. I really dislike it, but at the price point that it's at, not too bad. I think they could have done just as good a job using washers that have a bigger outside diameter, and then you wouldn't get that blade play side to side. That's the other con. It's very slight when it's snugged up properly. Not a big deal at all, but it is there. So if you buy one and you notice that, there it is. I didn't mention a blade centering when it's closed is very good, as you can see right there. So it's a decent knife. I think it's a good buy for the price if you like the looks of it. If you want to practice sharpening a tanto with these two angles and not screwing up this transition point, a lot of guys, when they're new to sharpening knives, will end up turning this into just a soft belly of a knife, and it's hard to practice sharpening to get this to stay square. So that might be one reason to buy this knife, at 12 US bucks plus a little bit for shipping. That's a good thing to practice, I think. Or you just want the knife. You think it looks cool and you like it, and you don't mind 420 high carbon steel, and you don't mind that it's a little bit thicker behind the grind. That might be exactly what you want. How well does this original sharpness cut? You know that I can sharpen this knife up and make it cut awesome, even if it's that thick. But from the factory, it works okay. You can hear that it's doing almost as much tearing as it is cutting, but it's not super dull from the factory. It's okay. I usually don't like SR knives very much. There's a lot of SR knives that are garbage out there. But now you can write it down that 4CR13, whenever you see that, that's basically the same as 420HC, and 420HC is a decent budget steel. So thanks for watching my video. Thanks for liking. Actually, if you've got comments, please leave those down below. I read all the comments. I answer most of the comments. I try to have time to answer them all, but I just don't always have the time. If you definitely want to communicate with me, email me at CanadianCuttingEdge@gmail.com. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. You guys are very good to me. Thanks to everybody who uses any of my links. I really, really appreciate it. That helps me out an awful lot, more than you know. So, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay sharp and stay safe. See, I tend to cut myself. Boo-hoo. Bye now.